I'm about to show you two videos right now. Now, what I want to talk about is a kind of a different perspective when it comes to jumping, plyometrics, and speed and agility training. So kind of the common perspective out there is that when you're talking jumping, plyometrics, speed and agility, you're mainly talking about muscles and their ability to exert a lot of force very quickly. You're talking the stretch reflex, where your muscle's ability to stretch and then use that stored energy from the stretch, boom, to shorten and create a lot of force in a very short amount of period of time. Now, all that still rings true, but I kind of want to offer up a little bit of a different perspective that hope that watching those videos you'll be able to kind of get a better picture in your head. So what that different perspective is, and I don't want to be different just for the sake of being different, but I think it holds a little bit more true. It's something that people don't necessarily think about, but I think it to understand this is kind of taking a foundational first principle account of human movement and just relating that into various forms of training. So that starts with, what are we mostly made of as humans? Like I've said before, these prior couple of weeks, we're mostly made of water and fluid, and we hold most of that fluid, or we hold a lot of that fluid, in our gut. So basically we have a bunch of water balloons in our guts, and they're full of fluid and water. So that's going to have an effect on how we jump, how we change direction, and how we get up to maximal speeds and whatever it is that we're doing. So there's internal forces going on with these internal pressures and fluids that's going to affect the way we move. So typically thought of when someone lands from a jump and their knees cave, they're typically thought to have weak glutes and they can't get their knees out. While that may or may not be the case, I think a better explanation of that is when somebody lands from a jump, you have this water in your gut and these pressures going straight down, and someone's inability to manage their pelvic floor and get their pelvis underneath them in the right position to handle these internal forces and pressures and fluids at the bottom, or when they land from a jump, if they can't manage that, and if they can't catch the guts and reorient them up, or just maintain that pressure, all that fluid and pressure is just going to want to continue to go straight down. So what happens when somebody can't manage those internal pressures and fluids? Boom, their knees cave, because all that force and all that fluid and pressure continues to move straight down. So when we think about this, we have to think about how this might affect our jumping, how it might affect our cutting, how it might affect our change of direction. So as you can see from those videos that I just showed you, all I'm doing are quarter squat jumps, and I'm trying to just be as fast and elastic off the ground as possible. And as you can see, the video with my arms moving, when I'm getting my arms involved, you can see how it's so hard for me to stay in one place. I literally drift forward about 2 feet after my first or second jump. Now you can attribute that to loss of balance, which that might be the case, but I kind of attribute that to not being able to maintain those internal pressures and fluids, and it kicked me forward. You can also think about this on a cut, when someone wants to change direction and say a pro agility, the 5-10-5 shuttle. Say somebody who's not very quick at this drill, or has trouble maintaining these internal fluids and pressures, what you might see is when they go to change direction, when they boom cut, all that internal water, all that internal pressure is boom moving straight this way. And you have to kind of think of a wave hitting the shore, or a wave hitting a wall. Not only does the water go straight up, it also moves straight down. So you boom, you get here, all the fluid rushes this way, and you kind of get this split of fluid on the side of your gut. Now, someone who is good and is well practiced at being able to manage these internal pressures and fluids, they're going to be able to kind of reorient their body in a way where they kind of capture that and can reorient those pressures and fluids, boom, in the other direction. An example of someone not being able to maintain these forces, they might go to cut, that boom, that fluid gets rushed into various down and up in various places, and boom, they get straight up out of their cut because they can't maintain that, and that kind of pressure just pops them straight up, and they lose time being able to cut and shift direction. Same thing as, again, on those quarter squat jumps. When you hit the ground, again, you get this boom, these water balloons shoving to the bottom of towards your pelvic diaphragm. You have to catch those, and you have to reorient that straight up. And people that jump really well, that are really fast off the ground, are able to do that really well. People that aren't can't do that really well, and those internal water balloons keep wanting to move straight down as they try to jump straight up, rather than you want to be able to catch them and then use them to pop straight up. Well, the good thing is, as coaches, I should say the good thing is, if you're an athlete, you don't have to actually think about this too much. The goal of coaches should be able to put you up in positions where there's limited thinking, and the drill is going to take care of itself. So we might start with lower level drills, just working on accepting the guts and accepting that fluid at the bottom really fast, and then we will work up in progressions where we're catching the fluid and then using it to bounce straight up, or start moving and side to side and change the direction stuff. But that's a little bit more dynamic. But we will start kind of basic at learning to capture these internal forces and pressures at the pelvic diaphragm or the pelvic floor. So if you're thinking about all this stuff as you're moving, it could cause kind of paralysis by analysis. You're thinking about too much, and you can start to go haywire. But again, I think plyometrics is mostly about less coaching and knowing the right drills and exercises to set an athlete up with. That's going to get them really good at maintaining these internal forces, but also external forces too, because we're always under the force of gravity, so that adds another variable to the mix. But I just wanted to offer this differing perspective, not for the sake of being different, but I think kind of operating from this model or this framework can help us ask better questions, can help give us an idea of what's actually going on in human movement as it relates to jumping, speed and agility training, and just knowing more typically helps us ask better questions, and in turn make better decisions, and of course make better decisions with our clients and athletes.